Hey, good morning, everyone. First time ever you get to go ahead and see this ugly mug. Uh, I'm Tim. I'm the one that does all the giveaways. Appreciate everybody who's been part of my channel. Um, First time I'm in front of the camera for a little bit, but I thought this was a very important topic. It was actually a very important information to give to all of you out there in the card trading community, and especially uh, focusing on those that like to get their cards sold on eBay or graded at PSA. As you can tell by the title, and I'm going to kind of move my face over here so you don't have to look at me looking at you, but I'm going to be at the screen here. And as you can tell, I had a card stolen. A very expensive card. This was my 1969 Topps Lou Alcindor, more commonly known now as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but that was his rookie card. I had it graded at SGC, and it was graded at a 5, which is pretty good. And right here, PSA, all the card companies give it a quote unquote serial number. It's a specific number for that card that's encased and graded. So this is, please take note of this. This is the card's number, serial number, if you will. Um, and yes, I am offering a reward. I will go into more detail further down the video. Go ahead and grab a cup of coffee if you'd like, soda, glass of water. I'm going to be a little specific, I mean, very specific in this theft. Um, how it took place. It was, I know, a that's U.S. Postal Service employee, and you'll see throughout this um, PowerPoint how I determined that. You might be able to see behind me right there, maybe, maybe not. That's actually my framed uniform. Many of you didn't know, but you will now. I was a police officer for close to 30 years down in Southern California. Retired in 2012, and for one period of time, I was a fraud and forgery detective. Worked with the postal inspectors on crimes of mail theft and fraud. Uh, Sometimes they were just regular citizens like you and I who were the suspects, and there were times that the suspects were actually the postal employees themselves. So I have some background in this, which I think is helpful. So let's go ahead and get started. I've given you enough time to go ahead and get something to drink. And I do miss this card. All right, so basically, I thought my little screen here was going to go away, but I guess you're stuck with me down here. So we'll actually miss some information down here at the bottom. Um, so between the 22nd of January and the 1st of February, I had that 1969 Topps Alcindor card um, stolen, and it was, and I will show you, was in the possession of the Postal Service and its employees the entire time. It was not like somebody who went to the mail truck and stole it, uh, went to my front porch or went to a front porch and stole it. Uh, the tracking, which is very important, will show that the card never left the control of the postal uh, service. The card was sold for a total of just over $958. So you can see that this is a pretty expensive card. Again, here's my background. We already went through that. Uh, I do have a law enforcement background. I do have a background in fraud and forgery, working as a detective. And I also have a background and experience of working with the postal inspectors on many mail theft type crimes. So we'll go through step by step. Again, I apologize that this is going to be a little lengthier video, but it's very important and important information for you folks. So on the 22nd of January, I sold a card on eBay. The buyer, I'm just going to use their initials, WT, total tax and shipping being $958.10. Now, eBay, when you sell a graded card or a item of memorabilia, they have a policy called authentication guarantee, which on the face of it is actually really good. So, and we'll go through that, how that, what those steps are for that. But basically, it's going to, once the seller sells a card to a buyer, the card then is shipped through eBay to PSA and professional sports authentication. I'm sure anybody and everybody that's ever had a card and wants to get it graded knows about PSA. They're located in Santa Ana. So you send the card to get authenticated. Now, in a graded card, and you're probably thinking, well, that wasn't a PSA graded card. Well, what they're going to do, any card company's card, they're going to check very closely to make sure that the casing hasn't been damaged, vandalized, or basically pried open. Sometimes there are people who have done that in the past, put a lesser card inside a case and then sell it off as the original. So they're also going to make sure that it's original encasement as well. So eBay will then send you through the shipping process online after it's sold a shipping label, and you can go ahead and print that out. So this is basically a little history or a little education on the authentication guaranteed. You know, the positives are it's a verified return. So when you get it as a buyer, at the very end of it, you know your item is authentic and grading and everything is on the up and up. Industry experts, well, that's going to be PSA, and there's no extra costs. They have that contract with PSA to go ahead and do that. So it, as it states here, it's independent from and not associated with any brand sold on eBay. Okay, that's 99.9% true when it says not associated with. Well, it is associated with eBay since they go ahead and have a contract with them. So this is how it works. First, they verify the return. You know, once you sell the card, it goes to the authentication facility, PSA, for inspection before going to the buyer. If you allow returns, and in this case you have to, it'll be inspected, and if there's a problem, they'll get their money back. Their partner, as they state here, is PSA, leading authenticator of trading cards. Yeah, probably, most likely, and the answer is yes. And then no cost. eBay covers the authentication. So here's the catch: a single ungraded card that's worth $250 or more, and single graded cards that are worth $250 or more are eligible for the service at this present time. If you sell a card, and that's for the selling price. So if you sell a card and it's $250 or more, then it's automatically going to go through this process of authentication guarantee. So, how does it work for ungraded cards? Just real quickly, you sell the card. Once you purchase it, you ship it to PSA. Now, eBay will give you and send you as part of the shipping costs the shipping label. And that's important to know. It's eBay who gives you that shipping label. You don't fill it out yourself. It's based off of information that the buyer gives. PSA expert's going to verify the authenticity of the card. So, and then it's slipped into one of these very nice packaging boxes that they have, and then it's sent off. So that's how it works for ungraded cards. Now let's get to where I'm at with my graded card. The card is sold. There's this blue right here, and you'll see it later on. Authenticity guaranteed. That's a little blue badge. So anything that's going to be sold for $250 or more is automatically going to be part of that authenticity guarantee program, and that's a very good thing. For so long, people were able to go ahead and fraudulently sell off fake cards, put them in authenticated cases. There's a lot of fraud going on. So this is actually a very good thing. I have no problem with it. Now, what I'll have, and you'll see down the road, is an issue with something else with that process. So it says here, you'll ship it to PSA for inspection. Well, again, what's important to know, that shipping label that you're going to use to send it to PSA for inspection is generated by eBay. Okay, so they technically have the responsibility for that shipping label. And then PSA experts authenticate each of them. And then unfortunately, this is blocked off by my ugly mug. But you see the picture. It's the same thing. Goes into this really nice case for shipping. And it's wonderful. So the process itself, 90% of it is fantastic. So the authenticator is PSA, as I've said. So in my case, the shipping label info, and like I said, shipping label info is supplied by eBay. All right. My tracking number was this. It doesn't show up in the address part of it, but this is the address part of the shipping label. Okay. I affixed to put the label on the package that I had put or packaged up to be shipped, my Lou Alcindor card. And then I literally handed it to the mail person, and then they have a device that they scan it, so it shows, okay, it's now on its way. Take note of this addressing. I don't know what this necessarily means, TC2, but that's care of, and then they had the buyer's name. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it's something, and you're going to know that when you look at this label, okay, this coding right here is not on any other label. Let's say I sold a card that was under $250, and at the end of the sale, I'm going to get the shipping label again from eBay. It's not going to look anything like this. It's going to have a person's name, their address, and then the shipping label is going to be printed out. You're going to put it on the package. It's going to go directly to the person that bought it. Not in these cases with authentication. All right, here's the address in Santa Ana for PSA. That number is not for PSA. I haven't called that number yet. I'm going to. But it's not for the buyer either. So I think if I was right, that goes to someplace. was it New York? I think it was New York or Texas. So, but I don't want to pinpoint it for sure. Now, here's something else. This coding event is what I'm guessing that means. Then MFQHHPQ. Okay, this is special to a card going to, or an item going to PSA for authentication. All right. This up here is special. The TC2 care of the buyer's name. And this is special. What does that tell you? Think about it. You can answer out loud. I won't hear you. But I'll tell you what this means. That means anybody, and now you folks are going to be part of it, since and I'm not doing this to try to train any criminals, but what this tells you, this here and this here tells you, and the address, this is going to PSA, and it is part of their authentication process, which means also whatever is inside that package is worth a minimum of $250. Probably a lot more, and in my case it was. But this is what this is going to tell you on that shipping label. Doesn't really affect us as much individually because we're never going to see that. Once I handed that off to the post office, the postal employee, it was now in their possession. So Joe Blow, you, me, anybody else, this is not going to mean anything to us. We'll understand it, and we know what that means now, that this package is going to PSA to be authenticated, and it's worth a minimum of $200. But who is going to know this? Did you answer? The postal employee. They are going to know, and specifically the postal employees that deliver in this area, okay? Because this package is going to go on a little journey. Not a vacation, but it's going to go on a journey. And the journey starts where I ended up handing it to the postal employee, and then the journey ends when it ends up in the hands of PSA. So you're going to see how my little journey ended up taking some side streets. But again, postal employees working in the Anaheim, Santa Ana area at their facilities, when they see this after working for a while and asking a few simple questions, they're going to know anything with this type of labeling, this here, and this address, is an item worth a minimum of $250. Okay, February 5th, eBay notified me on their messaging system regarding the theft. This is the letter I got from their authentication guarantees individual, Mary, whoever is with the last initial A. So basically, they wanted to thank me for taking the time. This is Mary with the authentication guarantee. She's contacting me about my card that I recently sold to, and you know that, through eBay service. And here it is. I'm sorry to let you know there's been an issue with this. Okay. Their authenticator let them know that my package appears to have been tampered with on its way to the authentication center. So again, on its journey from when I handed it over to the postal employee, my mail carrier, and then when it finally reached the end of its journey, that was PSA, it was tampered with. The package was received, cut open, and then taped back with clear tape. Our operator opened the package on the clear tape. If you purchased insurance, and I'm telling you, I did not. Now, part of the problem is and I'll never do this again, and this is important for you sellers as well. Always purchase insurance. Oops, kind of getting out of the picture here. Maybe a good thing. You always want to go ahead and purchase insurance. I was being a cheap guy. I think shipping was was $12 maybe for that card or insurance. But I also set it up for the buyer to pay for the shipping. And part of that shipping is the shipping insurance. Okay, they did buy. It was $100. All right. They knew what they spent on that card, almost $1,000. I didn't know at the time. I have found out later when I sold this card. Even if I have somebody pay for the shipping and insurance, the buyer, before I finish the purchasing the label, I still have an option of increasing that insurance to the value, the selling value of the card. I didn't know I could do that back then at the time of this sale. I have learned that since. So I wanted to pass that information on to you. If you are a seller and you sell a card and you have the buyer pay for the shipping and the insurance and they do the minimum, I really emphasize it's important for you to pay the extra $12 or whatever the amount is to pay for the extra shipping. If I had paid for it, I could have gone through, and this is another important part. If I paid for the insurance, I could have gone through it and the process and gotten reimbursed for my $958. I'm just going to say $1,000 because that's what it is, basically. I didn't do that. Only thing I'm eligible for is $100. I haven't asked for that $100 yet because it just hurts me too much. But that's on me. So I fouled up. I don't want you to foul up. You've got to go ahead and make sure you cover the insurance for your item. In the long run, it's going to help you. They had photos. They said to assist you, they have photos of the package from the authenticator. They never were able to get those. They couldn't attach them here for some reason. I emailed or I messaged them back saying, hey, I didn't get the pictures. They said, oh, well, here, let me try again. And I still never got the pictures. So they were going to hold on to the package for 10 calendar days. I didn't know later on because I did contact law enforcement, and you'll see what I did with that. I don't know if they actually still had it by the time I was able to get a report made. They say events like this are extremely rare. I'm calling BS on that. All right. I found later online, just by searching, there have been a number of people who have had this same problem and the same post office location. Because, like I said, postal employees are going to learn and know, hey, these are expensive items in here. They don't know what. Might just be a $250 card, or might be a $1,000 card like mine, or it could be a $10,000 card. It's like a lotto for them. They know they're a winner. They just don't know how much they won. Now, do I think the postal employees themselves are selling these? No. You know what I think? And from my experience that I've had in law enforcement, the postal employers are just pawns. Okay, they're probably not. They may not even be opening the package, and you'll see what I mean by that down the road here in this video. They see a package and they're shipping it off to somebody else, and I think the postal employee, I think, is getting paid a flat rate. For an example, again, when I was working fraud and forgery and such, um, there used to be a lot of checks that would go into banks. People would go in with bogus, fake checks. Well, these are organizations that do that. It's very rare for just an individual, but it's actually a group. Many times it's a lot of gangs. They bought printers and computers and learned. Anyways, when they go ahead and try to get a check cashed, the person that's created that check, the main individuals, they're not going to put themselves at risk. So they get Joe Blow. Sometimes it's kids, sometimes it's other criminals that they've had contact with in the past. And so what they're going to do is, let's say, send them in, try to get $1,000 check, and they're going to say, cash this check, you're going to get $100, and then you give us the 900. So I think that's what they're doing with the postal employees, that they are offering them, hey, I'm going to give you $50 for each one of these that you send off to me, or $100, or 10% of whatever the value is. So the postal employee themselves is not handling this on their own. The postal employee is just a pawn, a part of this. So, but again, when eBay says this is extremely rare, they're wrong. This is not. Now, here's another thing to think about. That was one card for basically $1,000. Let's say in 1 month they do 10. Okay, that's $10,000. Let's say in a year, that's $120,000. I am pretty darn sure there's a lot more than 10 cards that are going, with the number of cards that are going through that post office and going to PSA, the hundreds upon hundreds a month that are going. I'm for sure saying it's a minimum probably of $10,000 a month. I think it's much higher, but just to be on the safe side. So that's $120,000 a year minimum of thefts. This is actually big business. This is a big thing. And I have contacted 2 law enforcement agencies, and I'm hoping that they go ahead and follow through with this, because it's a big deal. Now, what would I do if I was the person inspecting this? First thing I do is I contact eBay and find out, hey, this letter, how many of these types of letters do you send out every month to employees? And I'd like copies of those letters. They may say, well, there's privacy here. Okay, fine. I'll get a search warrant. And I want to know specifically how many took place in a month, and also want to know who these victims are. Because down the road, if I'm able to go ahead and put a case together and arrest somebody, each victim, each card, let's say I sent 10 cards and they were all stolen. That's 10 different items. It's one, if they were all in one package, that's one crime, one charge. But if I send in a few and they get stolen, each package is going to be a charge. I want to know how many victims are out there. I want to know who those victims are. And I want to know how often is this happening there at eBay. So I would want to know and get copies of these letters right here. Hey, eBay, contact their authentication guaranteed. Send me these. And if you want, go ahead and cross this name out. Cross this name out if you want. I actually don't want this name crossed out. That's my victim. This person is not my victim, because they get reimbursed. All right? The person that bought the card from me got completely reimbursed. So I'm out the card and I'm out the money that I was supposed to get. So anyways, and then after, if I was investigating it, then I'm going to go ahead and see about putting a plant inside that post office facility. And it's going to take time. It'll take time, but I am going to go ahead and proactively work this. If it was me when I was working, and I guarantee you I would end up having an arrest down the road. because crooks are smart, but they're not that smart, and they're going to make mistakes. Okay, I got to get up for a moment. I just saw my wife is coming back, so I want to close off this room so we're not interrupted. Okay, I'm back. Again, I hope you got something to drink because, like I said, this is it's going to take a little while. Okay. Anyways, that's what I would do if I was working the case. I'm not, so I'm trusting, but that's how I would do it, at least to begin with. Okay, this is all still February 5th. This is fast. I get another message the same day. Hey, this case is now closed. Ooh, excuse me. From eBay. We reviewed the case and decided to issue the buyer a full refund. He said a refund of $885 was issued to the buyer. The refund includes the purchase price of the original and or plus original shipping. Well, that's not. This is not an accurate number here. Oh shoot! Sorry. Let me get back here. Why did that? Oh. Wasn't able to go ahead and go back. I'm sorry. Anyways, that was not a accurate number, and I'm wondering why I can't go back. I can only go forward with my PowerPoint. I know the little arrows at the bottom, but it won't let me go ahead and go back here. See, I'm right here, and it won't let me go back. Okay, I apologize. All right, so anyways, we missed that one thing, but it was them reimbursing me. Or not reimbursing me, reimbursing the buyer. Well, it was the entire $950 something dollars. See, I had the card listed for $1,000. I ended up taking a best offer, but it was $958 total for me. So these are some messages I had with the buyer. So I wanted to find out what was going on his end. Or actually, he sent me the first one. It said that he was issued a refund due to an authenticator not receiving the card in the package. Can you let me know if you still have the card? Okay, so that prior message that I skipped over, and I apologize for that, it also stated in there from eBay that the buyer had contacted law enforcement and had a police report made. So I thought, great, there's a police report. And I wanted to get a copy of that. So I told them, I said, hey, I mailed the card with the label eBay sent me. They said, you say you received an empty box, that you filed a police report. Is that true? And then I asked him for a copy of the report. And then he basically said, if that's true, the authenticator did all of that, which they did, I found out. He never received the package and didn't file anything with eBay. He just automatically ended up getting the refund. So I knew something was fishy at that point, so I explained to him what I did. And Anaheim, it's only 20 miles away from me, basically. Where from my house to where it was going to be to the post office there, 20, maybe 30 miles. That's about it. So, and then, as I say here, it ended up in Dallas, Texas at one point, and you'll see that. And again, he said they sent him the refund. He never requested the refund. Just says it arrived empty at the authenticator. So I said, thanks. On the 6th, I told him I sent an appeal to eBay, and I just wanted to know what state he was in. And told him I was in California, and he said he was in Texas. Okay. Only thing that bothered me about that was when on that journey, that package took a side route to Dallas, Texas. And this gentleman says he lives in Texas. Does that mean he's a part of this? Not necessarily. It basically is just generally interesting and most likely a coincidence, but I learned in my career sometimes there's not coincidences. Okay. February 8th, eBay denied my refund request. I told you I made an appeal. After reviewing the case, they decided to keep the original outcome, which was I get hosed. They weren't able to grant my appeal, and basically I didn't get a refund. That's all that is. So that was the order number. That was the case number. Case was opened on the 5th, closed on the 5th. It was pretty quick, but I didn't get notified till the 8th. Okay, now, also on the 8th, I got a letter from their customer support person, Mr. Carl. Said the attachments and replies can only be viewed, submitted through the email and not via eBay Messenger. For any additional support or request a callback, visit eBay customer service at this and this. I said thanks for contacting him. He introduced himself. So I opened my account 21 years ago. Oh, thank you for your loyalty. You would think after 21 years, that's a lot of money in 21 years that they've gotten from me. Here's a little hint. Not so much anymore. But that's a lot of customer loyalty. You would have thought maybe they could have bent over a little backwards on this, maybe at least half of the amount. They know it was a crime. They know I had nothing to do with it. And here's the other thing with insurance. In my mind, that could be open for discussion as well, but in my mind, insurance would cover for damage to the item outside of certain instances. For, let's say, the truck ran over it, the postal truck ran over it, rain, weather, it gets soiled, it's stolen out of the post office's truck. I get that. That's what insurance for. To me, insurance is not to cover an internal theft by one of your own employees. That's different. You should be the post office, and maybe they will. I haven't actually filed. I'm going to, but I wanted to get this video out first because it's been a while and I wanted to work on it. It's not the best PowerPoint presentation in the world, but at least I think I'm getting the information out to you. But insurance should be out the door. If your employee was responsible for this crime, then and a crime, which I'm saying this is, you should be responsible for that employee, and you should go ahead and be responsible. Doesn't matter whether there's insurance or not. So anyways, they reviewed my appeal. Same thing, Authenticator opened because a return because they let us know that your package appears to have been tampered with on its way to the Authentication Center, PSA, and it arrived empty. Package was received cut open, they know that, and then taped back up with clear tape. They opened it at the clear tape. So basically, it's just a lot of fluff that they're giving me Uh, and right here, if you purchased insurance on the shipment, I encourage you to contact the carrier. Shipping insurance is the only way a seller can be protected in the event of an item is removed from its package or damaged while with a carrier. Well, that takes eBay's responsibility off of it. But I do not believe, and I will follow up with this. I do not believe the post office that's true. But I'll find out. They said they included photos again. I never got them. I wanted to give them to law enforcement, but I never got them. They gave a full refund to the buyer on my behalf out of my money that I got from the buyer. Hey, thank you so very much for doing that, eBay, and I'm out $1,000. Okay, here's the meat and potatoes of this. I'm going to go through the tracking of that package. So, and it's important that you do this with your own packages. And say it didn't get someplace. Well, go to the tracking and see what happened. That's what I did. All right, so January 22nd, I mailed it, gave it to the postal employee, and they scanned it. Okay, that was in El Segundo, California. That was on the 22nd. 23rd, it got scanned again, and then on the 23rd, I believe this means it's in transit. So I think it was scanned here at El Segundo as an intake. Then it was scanned here as going and leaving El Segundo. And then this one shows it's in transit. And this one shows its next destination, Los Angeles Distribution Center. That's on the 23rd. The 24th, it left the Los Angeles Distribution Center. 24th, it's now in transit. It's still in transit. 24th, it arrived at Anaheim, California Distribution Center. I just thought of something, but it was redirected then 2 days later. Everything here is within a day, all these different things. Why did it take 2 days from Anaheim to get to the... Well, okay, this is actually... I take that back. It took 2 days from Anaheim to get to Dallas. That's reasonable. But it did go to Dallas. Okay, you remember the shipping label. That was to Santa Ana here, basically. It wasn't going to Dallas. It wasn't the original destination that was on the shipping label. Now it's from Dallas, in 3 days, it ends up in Arizona. Intake at Arizona, and then out of Arizona. Then it's in transit, and then it's back here at the Anaheim Distribution Center. Okay? The 29th. Now here's something before I go, because if I go forward, I'm not going to be able to go back. I'm now wondering, and I'm wondering out loud, I've always felt it's here at the Anaheim Distribution Center is where I believe the crime took place. And I'm still pretty sure that's where it took place. Somebody redirected it. And it had... So I believe a new shipping label was created. But I'm also wondering, maybe it happened here. You know, as far as putting a new label showing that it would go to Anaheim and then to Dallas. But I don't know if it can work that way. I know it could go from Anaheim and redirected very easily to Dallas. So I'm still 99% sure this is where the crime took place, right here. That's at least where you know, and there's evidence of it being redirected from where it was supposed to go. So, anyways, back here at the top, 29th, it's back at the Anaheim Distribution Center. Then it's out the same day, an hour later. And then we're at January 31st. February, it's in transit. And down here, Santa Ana. It arrives at the Santa Ana Post Office February 1st. I first mailed that on the 22nd. All right? That is incredible. So anyways, it was delivered here. That's the PSA office. And it was signed for by this individual. Okay? That's the evidence that the package took. Okay, I'm going to compare two shipping that I did. This is shipping label A. This is another package. Same thing. It was a card. It was worth $250 or more. And it had to go through the authentication process with eBay. They created and printed out a label for me. Okay, this is the label. Here's this one is the information from the label, and this is what the label looked like as far as the shipping info. I didn't save for some reason the original shipping label from here, but it's the same info. What did I tell you? Look at this label. TC2 care of, and there's the buyer. Here it is. TC2 care of, and there's the buyer. This one's just a little different as far as the event, and on the label itself, it may have been switched up. But basically, look, event with a letter code, event with a letter code. Address, Suite 150, address. Only difference is, and I can't remember if this label actually had the phone number or not. I don't remember. There's no phone number here. I think it did, but I can't be 100% sure. But again, most importantly, same coding, right? Same coding right here. Again, they're going to know inside this card. Oh, that's kind of cool. I got to make that thing a little bigger. Don't know how that happened. Anyways, again, they're going to know inside that package is a card worth a minimum of $250. One of the things was, well, how come this one didn't get taken? Well, there's a number of postal employees working at the distribution centers. And not all of them are crooked. I'm going to tell you, some of them are. I was part of cases where I arrested, or postal employees were arrested for similar type of crimes. And so it just so happened, I sold probably 6 other cards prior to the Lou Alcindor card being stolen. The other 5 or other 6, no problems. Again, same type of labeling. Again, $250 or more. One of them was more than that Lou Alcindor card, believe it or not. They just ended up going through the process because they were handled by decent people working as employees. This one, not so much. Got in the hands of a crook. And again, here's the tracking info. So it's a comparison. Here's that first one again. It's a different label. I put down, this was information for the detective. But basically, here's El Segundo. Excuse me, El Segundo. This is what's really interesting. Goes from here, El Segundo, to the LA Distribution Center. here, El Segundo Distribution Center. And it's all in the same day. Here too, all in the same day. Next day ends up at the Anaheim Distribution Center. Okay? This is going to go on the next page, you'll see. Tracking A went from the Anaheim Convention or Anaheim Distribution Center to the, at the bottom here, Santa Ana Distribution Center. And then, so that's 2 days, 3 days. It went from El Segundo to its final location in Santa Ana. Mine went from the Los Angeles to the Anaheim, and it should have gone from Anaheim to the Santa Ana Distribution Center, but it did not. It was redirected to Dallas. Again, it's important. Hang on to your tracking numbers. Go ahead and so you can pull this information up if you're a victim and find out what happened and where the crime basically took place. 99.9% crime took place right here in Anaheim Distribution Center. I am offering a reward. $150 if you can get information for me that leads to me locating and the return of the card. Okay? I'll even say at least locating where it is and there's an arrest. Maybe I don't get the card back. Maybe I just get reimbursed for it. But if you, somebody out there who's watching this video, if you can go ahead with your vast knowledge of the internet, excuse me, if you're able to go ahead and find out where this card, okay, not a card, but it's going to be this card with this serial number, my card, if you can tell me where it is and I can get law enforcement and they're able to locate it and return it or at least get me a reimbursement, I'm going to send you $150. Now, I created this email address specifically for this video and for this reward. That's all this one's for. So it's tminformation214@gmail.com. Again, if you can go ahead, and I really hope you do. I've been searching. I see other SGC5s, not the same serial number. Not the same. Now, there's all sorts of possibilities. They could have cracked that card open, sent it to SGC again, or send it to PSA, get it regraded, and then sell it. I don't think they would do that. I really don't. But it's possible. They could have cracked it and then sold it as a individual card. That's not worth as much money. So, already, and then if they crack it and send it and it doesn't come back with this, it's not going to be as much. Granted, it's free money to them anyways, but I think it's going to still be in this casing. I think it's still going to be in this, with this serial number. So if you can help find it, locate it for me, and I can verify, or law enforcement verifies the location, and I get the card back, or there's an arrest, or I get reimbursed. I'm going to send you $150. Okay? Well, I think that's the end of our, that's my last slide. This has been a long one, right? But it's extremely important information and extremely important that you learn, if you're a seller, to learn from this. One of the biggest things, go ahead and get insurance on it. Now, I was going to go back to that. The only reason I even went through all of this, well, there's two reasons. The main reason is I didn't have insurance on it to cover it. I'll probably just get $100 back. But the other reason is my law enforcement background. I knew where to look, what to look for, and determine where the crime took place and elements of the crime and such. Tell you the truth, if I had had insurance, and that's what these people are betting on and hoping for, is that you as a buyer have bought insurance. Okay, your card was stolen. You didn't get it. Okay, the buyer's going to get reimbursed for his money. The seller's going to get reimbursed for his money from the insurance, and then they'll just move on. That's what these crooks are planning on. That you're going to have insurance and that you're going to go ahead and just get your money and be done with it. They don't want people like me investigating these things and blowing their good thing. But I got no problem with that. But again, because I didn't have insurance and I wasn't going to get my $950 back, I wanted to go ahead and at least work on trying to get these scum arrested. And again, this is big business. It is huge business. And I tried to emphasize that to the Anaheim Police Department when they filed the first report. And then a agent, I tried to, and I think I did emphasize to an agent with the Inspector General of the Post Office. One of their agents contacted me as well. This is federal crime. When I arrested people, or people were arrested for mail theft, excuse me, that's a federal crime. I know a woman that we arrested for mail theft. She did time in a couple years in a federal penitentiary in downtown LA. Now, the federal penitentiaries are pretty nice. If you're going to do time, do something wrong, if you end up in a federal penitentiary, it's all right. Nice mattresses. It's a pretty cool place. If you're a crook doing time. But these are federal crimes. The post office, postal inspectors, they will arrest them. I know that. If they're able to identify them. But I'm going to be searching every day trying to find this card. I'm going to ask you folks, especially 90% of you have a hell of a lot more info on what to do with the internet than I do. But if you're able, locate that card for me. It's going to be, I'm guessing it's here in the U.S. somewhere. It could be in the Texas area. I don't know. Somebody who bought it may want to sell it, or the crooks themselves are going to try to sell it. But if you can locate this card, again, you're going to get it. And I can get it returned, or there's an arrest for that. I'm going to give you $150. Any info, send it to this email address right down here. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this and watch this video. I hope you all learned something from it and it helps protect you in the future. And I really hope somebody can help me out there. And let's catch who's doing this, okay? Hey, thanks again. Really appreciate it. And we will end this video now and have a great day. And let's go find these folks. Thanks again.